Hello and welcome once again to Wildwood RV, everybody. We are going to be going through a 178 BHSK Wildwood today, specifically for someone who placed their confidence in business with us here at Wildwood RV. This is intended for their use. We are putting it out there publicly because we know that some folks will be able to gain a little bit of benefit from it. But understand, we can't put content out there that folks can use where they buy campers everywhere else and then want us to answer their questions like, hey, where's my low point drains? We are always happy to provide that personal level of service to any Wildwood RV customer. And that comes at no additional charge with any new RV that you purchase from Wildwood RV, by the way. Normally, you'd meet this fella in person and get this kind of personalized instruction. This is Mr. Dwayne, and Dwayne is going to be showing us around today. Where are we starting, Mr. Dwayne?
We're going to start right here at the front door. The steps are simple, fold down and fold down.
Is there any trick here where there's a thing I don't want to do or I risk lopping off a fingertip or anything like that? You don't want to grab them on the sides when you slide them in, maybe?
Yeah. Just don't get out here, as Josh says, you could get hurt. Get here, pick up.
Very simple. All right. What's next?
We're going to head inside.
Head inside. Beautiful.
All right, guys. Hey, right here's your control center in this unit. And just briefly, I'm going to touch one of the little black knobs for battery, and you'll see the lights light up. That would correspond along for fresh, black, or gray. It tells you how full your tanks are.
Okay, so there's nothing in the gray tank, so okay, empty, easy. Yep. Now what's this DSI FLT?
That will be if the water heater does not light.
Okay. DSI means direct spark ignition, ladies and gentlemen, auto ignition. So if the water heater doesn't light, it's telling you, hey, we stopped trying to light this and we stopped pumping propane so that, you don't die.
Exactly. On this unit, the water heater's LP only. So here you have your water pump. Whenever one of these functions, that switch is lit, that means that function is operable. So at this point, the water pump would be on. At that point, it'd be off. The water heater, we do not want to touch. At this point, we're not sure it has water in it.
Okay, and you'll show us how to check that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Lights here refers to the one above my head on your awning.
Gotcha.
Closest to the door is outside. Closest to the inside is gonna be
our little kitchen light
right
here.
There.
Kind of like a welcome home light.
The rest of them are going to be push center.
And they are that way intentionally, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can make sure, like if you're dry camping, you're only using as much power as you need on a given time. You're not accidentally sapping your battery.
This switch here is for our electric awning. In and out. Down is in. Up is out.
Easy peasy. And if you hear your awning banging around in the evening hours and you're already in bed, the switch is inside. Did you know, Dwayne, you don't even have to put on pants to roll that up?
The second switch is your slide out. Okay. Up is in. Down is out.
Now you may have heard Dwayne click that switch 2 times. That is an intentional thing from the manufacturer of this slide. It is designed so that if it hasn't been touched in a while, if one of the kids or you just bump the thing on accident, it doesn't accidentally run the slide in a little bit and break the seal. The other thing you normally want to do here is when you run that slide, you want to normally run it all the way in or out. One of the things you folks may not have picked up on this type of slide out is that when Dwayne ran the slide back out, he left the button all the way down for an extended period. You want to do that until the motors stop running, because it actually runs itself through a self-adjustment phase to make sure the left and right go out at the same angle, basically. That way, you make sure it always comes in and out straight, and you have proper sealing. That's something a lot of folks don't know about those.
Yes. At this point, we're going to hit the safety issues. There is a smoke detector right here on the ceiling. It is not wired into the 12-volt system. It is a 9-volt independent battery. You need to change that battery once a year. Make sure it stays functioning. Here, obviously, is our fire extinguisher. You can see how small this unit is, guys. If you think you need this and you're on the inside of the unit, please just get you, your family, your pets out. Don't try to be a hero and fight a fire. It's too small a space.
And chances are you're also probably not properly trained for that.
Yeah.
And regardless, get your family safe first, fight the fire second.
Exactly. Here is our LP carbon monoxide detector. This guy will have a totally different sound than a smoke alarm. If it goes off, don't ask why. Open the door, go to the front of the unit where the LP tank is, and shut the tank off. The other thing that can make this go off would be your furnace. If you've got to a campsite, you've turned the furnace on, and a few minutes later this goes off, shut your furnace off. Again, go to the front of the unit and shut the LP off.
And just for clarity, ladies and gentlemen, as Dwayne was pointing around, his hand happened to point toward the stovetop when he said furnace. That is a cooktop, that's not a furnace. That is your furnace down here, but from his position he couldn't see that, so he was just kind of pantomiming a little bit. I wanted to make sure I clarify that for various safety reasons.
The carbon monoxide part of this, your biggest cause would be your furnace outlet being plugged by wasps, nests, things like that. We'll show you where to check that outside also.
Gotcha.
Also, if this chirps, just chirp, 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 that is an indication that the battery on the unit, the 12 volt battery, is getting low. This is wired into the 12 volt system. After a few years of ownership of this unit, if you open your unit up and this chirps, and it won't be quiet, chirp, 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 it does have a life on it, a lifespan, and it would need to be replaced. Here at Halix, we have them on the shelf every day. Your cooktop here is actually match light, so have a match ready. You'll have a little red arrow
or
on it
a grill lighter, by the way.
Yes. You have a little red light, or a little red arrow. Right now it's off. Rotate it to light, and light the burner indicated. It's that simple.
And as soon as you start turning this, you will actually hear the gas coming out. So have your like grill lighter already lit and near this thing right away. Handy little tip too, if you're just pulling the RV out of storage, there's probably some air buildup in the propane lines. What you want to do is get this one lit, then get that one lit, turn them up both as really high as you can until they stop spitting and sputtering, and that will get the most of the air bubbles out of the lines. That will help your propane furnace, your water heater, and your refrigerator's propane side all operate properly and light themselves so that you don't end up seeing that little DSI fault light in the upper left corner of your control panel go off.
Next in the unit, guys, here up top we have a vent fan. It has a manual crank and it has a black button for power. Notice when I turn it on, this fan can fool you. Now the vent is open.
Good news is you can see that pretty plainly. And if you want one of those nice like Camco or Max Air vent covers over that, give us a shout. That's the kind of stuff we can slap on, you know, like Reese's Pieces onto these things. No big deal.
Exactly. As we're going to move here to our air conditioner, guys, it's manual control here. It doesn't have a thermostat. It tells you on, off, high fan, low fan. You adjust your temperature here.
It feels a lot like when you're operating the air conditioning system in most vehicles. You know, you have cold, colder, coldest. You have high fan, low fan. It is not complicated.
No. We have roller knobs here to open or close our vents, right here.
Don't leave the air conditioner running with the vents closed.
Exactly. The elongated slots have our air conditioner filters in them. Simply pull down, the filter come out, rinse it out in the sink with warm soapy water and put it back in place. How often does it need to be cleaned? I don't know.
When it starts looking fuzzy, that's when you do it.
Exactly. That would bring us on to our refrigerator. If Josh can get up here a little bit, you can see this is very, very easy. If we went to auto, automatic means that it's going to search 110 first.
Part power or, you know, plugged in power.
Plugged in power. And if it can't find that 110 power, it will automatically switch itself to gas and light. It will do the reverse. If it was on 110 and that power was lost, it found gas so that you don't have any service interruption. When power is restored to the unit, it will automatically find that power for you again. Our temperature setting is 1 through 5. 5 is coldest.
Pretty simple.
if you want to run on gas because you're boondocking, you would just simply switch it to gas.
Now right here, it says check if flashing. That is just like the water heater DSI fault. What that means is that it tried to light the propane side of this refrigerator 3 times and it failed. So it stopped running propane so that you obviously don't accidentally cause your family health issues. All you do to restart that, you turn it off, wait, I don't know, 5 seconds, flip it back to gas or auto, as the case may be, and let it recycle again. If it fails to light multiple times, remember the little burn the burners trick. Or, guys, you want to know the number one reason I found that propane refrigerators don't work? Tell me, Dwayne, what is it?
Normally, our number one reason propane refrigerators do not light is we're out of propane.
Or we forgot to turn the tanks on in the first place. That's the number one call I get. People go, my water heater, my like everything propane's not working. Did you turn it on? They go, oh, shoot, don't laugh at me. What do we got next, sir?
What we have is the power distribution center. This side with the breakers, like your house, is 110. Okay, and they are listed out what is, and it tells you up is on, down is off. These are all in the on position at this point. That would be an off position. You just simply move them to the position you want them in. Obviously, you'd want all of these on. This side over here is the 12 volt side, runs off the battery in your unit. On this side where my finger is, there'd be a little red light up for whichever fuse went bad. So, as like Josh likes to say, you don't have to be an electrician to run this. It's very simple. It has indicators for what's wrong.
Now, if one of those blade fuses does pop for any reason, is it okay to leave power going into the RV and replace it, or is it advisable to disconnect power first?
It would be advisable to disconnect the power. You could arc the fuse and pop it. We're going to start right up here on top, guys, for where you could, if you choose to add a TV. Here's a 110 plug for it. Your coax hooks up, and your either green light's antenna or green light off would be to where you can allow part cable into the unit.
So basically, all this little switch does right here, guys, you're selecting roof antenna or part cable.
Yes.
And if the TV's not doing what you want, click the button and make it do the other thing.
You'll notice there's a little sticker here that says TV backer. In here is a solid piece of wood that you can mount a TV mount to. Obviously, you can't put too big a TV here, guys. We have to slide out, and we have a corner, obviously, that... So, if you choose, though, it is ready to go.
Good deal.
As we come down the wall, we have our thermostat. The thermostat, remember, is furnace only. Our AC runs off its own ceiling pack, so this is furnace only. It's going to be a little click here as I go to turn it on. All the way towards me is off. Going to be a little click, and then again, we just select warm or hot,
right on. Cool.
and it come right on. To shut it off, we're going to pull it all the way to us and make sure it clicks. It can be a little stiff, but make sure it clicks. That shuts off the power to the furnace, so that as you're transporting down the road, the furnace isn't trying to light if it's below like 50 degrees.
Now, this is an important note because you folks can probably still hear the furnace fan is blowing like crazy.
Yes.
It is on a delay timer system. It will turn on immediately. The fan will run for a little bit, and then it will try to light and start burning propane to provide heat to the RV. So the fan can be running, but it might not be providing heat right away. When you turn the furnace off, it will not immediately shut off that fan. It's like a 1 minute delay usually.
It needs to run through, as Josh said, its ignition cycle. It's going to do each step, and when it gets there, it's going to realize, oh, I really don't need to be on. It will shut itself down.
Easy. Stepping into the bathroom here, I'm actually going to take over for just a minute and pilot our craft today, just because it's such a small space. And I don't know that Dwayne was that comfortable being in the shower with me. Not that I blame him. Anyway, above the shower, this is another one of those crank open vents, just like we saw in the kitchen. You got your fan button, everything right here. This is doubling as our skylight above the shower. And for a tall person like me, you can kind of sneak your head in there for a little bit of extra height. Quick note on your shower, you probably don't want to let the water run the whole time. This is a little flow control plunger valve right here, so that once you get the water to the temp you want, you get yourself wetted down real quick, you turn the water off. It'll still dribble a little bit, by the way. That's intentional, that's fine. There's reasons it does that, so it doesn't cause pressure buildup in your water system. Then when you want the water to come back on, flip it back on, rinse yourself off, and then turn your knobs to turn the shower off. as we back up here to the toilet. This is a handy foot flush toilet, and there really is not a lot of room in here, is there, Mr. Dwayne? No. So you can see there's the black ring in there. That's your seal, and there's a little bit of water. The water is actually acting like a second seal to prevent backflow of odors, because right down below this is your black water tank, and black water is anything that goes down the toilet. Hopefully it's not the kids' G.I. Joes and Micro Machines. I'm not saying, I'm just saying maybe I did that as a kid. Moving on, never mind. Anyway, what you want to do here, when you go to do your business, there's a little foot flush over here. You can see where my foot's on it. You depress this, oop, I pushed it too much. You depress it partially so that you see water start filling in. You want to, you put a water load in here. You probably want to put water to about there. Do your business, and then you will fully depress the foot plunger. And we don't have water turned down in the RV right now, which is why you're not seeing a lot come out. But you'll hold this down for about 5 seconds and then let go. That will really flush all of your solid masses down the toilet, so that when they're still combined with a healthy amount of liquid, they don't build up. And as everybody knows, that's how you get the pyramid, which still makes Dwayne laugh every single time. Now, one more thing in our bathroom here, safety feature and a handy one. You have these in your house. You've probably seen, like on a blow dryer or something like that, or a curling iron, the big power adapter that plugs into the wall. There's an like a reset switch. You have those same things right here to make sure. Like what I just did is I tripped it and then reset it. That's a GFI, ground fault interrupt. So long story short, like we've got a water source right here. If I have a high voltage appliance like a blow dryer, which obviously with my hairline I don't need, but if let's say you do, and it slips and it falls into a sink of water, it will trip this and help prevent you from being hurt, help prevent damage to your electrical system, or God forbid something scary, a fire. And like Dwayne said, don't be a hero. Don't get the fire extinguisher. Get out of the camper. That's the best thing you can do in that terrible, terrible instance. The good news is that just doesn't usually happen. All right, Mr. Dwayne. So we woke up in the morning. We took our morning constitutional. How do we put the bed away and gain some living space?
What we're going to do is we're going to pick the base of the bed up, making sure no bedding or anything hooks this shade. And over here on this side is a lock. It's spring loaded. We're just going to put it up. It's going to go click, and we're done.
And that's why Wildwood calls it a jiffy bed, because it goes up in a jiffy. And then look at that. We gain ourselves a nice centralized front sofa there.
Yes. In that, right here is our emergency egress window. How this guy works, got a little red handle on the screen. We would just pull on that. The screen's going to pop out. We're going to take the red handle out of the holder. We're going to shove it right out the window. At that point, the easiest way out is head first. Land as gentle as possible, as Josh says, but God forbid, at least you could get out. If there was some other instance, you can use this handle for ventilation. Right here at my finger is a notch. Simply set it like that, and we have ventilation.
And this is really handy for rainy day airflow, provided it ain't coming in sideways, because, as he said, it's an egress window. That means that it tilts open, so you basically have a rain shield.
To close it, we simply pick up, rotate, and put back in our holder.
Simple. So simple an RV nerd could do it.
Yeah. We're now on the outside of the unit, guys, and right next to the entry door is our furnace outlet and inlet. Remember we talked about inside, if the carbon monoxide detector goes off, probably there's a bug nest built over this. That's why we here at Halix recommend that you buy bug screens to prevent that issue. Remember, when that furnace is running, this is hot enough, it will burn you.
The good news is, most of the time when that furnace is running, it's not like summertime when you're out here by your picnic table. Exactly. So, a lot of people go, I don't want my picnic table right next to that hot thing. Well, you're not usually going to be outside at a picnic table when the furnace is running. So just kind of, plan accordingly there. And if you are one of those folks, just set your cooler or something in front of it so that somebody isn't inclined to walk and lean against the trailer when that's running. There's just some real simple, easy things you can do.
Yes, sir. As we move along, the fresh water connection. This is where we'd undo this cap, and you can put a garden hose in here to fill the onboard water tank, the water you take with you.
Now that is only for when you are boondocking, not at a park that has water service. The water service at the park is pressurized and it will pump water through. So if you're at a park, you don't use the freshwater holding tank or the 12-volt water pump.
Exactly. When you're done, or if you don't use this, guys, make sure this cap stays on. That way we don't get uninvited bugs, extra rainwater, that kind of thing into our freshwater tank and contaminate it. As we move along, right here is a cap. And right down here is where we drain that freshwater tank, right there.
So when it's winterization time or we're done camping, that's how we get all the water out of that freshwater tank without having to like run it through everything.
And we're just going to store that cap right here so we don't lose it.
Easy.
Here's the water heater. This, as we mentioned, is LP only. How we make sure it's full of water is right here is the temperature pressure valve. We simply pull up on it and you can see a little water come out.
And it's okay if it dribbles, no big deal.
It's okay if it dribbles. That way we know it's full of water and we can fire it without damaging any elements of the water heater.
Tell us about those resets in there real quick.
Right here, if it does have electronic ignition, and if these are popped out, they're just reset circuits, we would simply just push until they click.
Easy.
Easy, easy.
And what that is like the GFI safety override switch for your auto igniter, which is this down here. That's the DSI direct spark ignition.
To close it, we're simply going to line up the keyhole slot, pull and twist.
You make that look easy. I have fought with those things for so many years.
Just really quick, we have outside outlets. A lot of times we don't go through these, but we're going to end this because this outside outlet is connected to that inside GFI in the bathroom. So if you're set out here cooking or whatever, got your morning coffee out here going, and all of a sudden you don't have power, it's because probably the ground was damp or something like that, and it just tripped the GFI.
Oh, good to know.
You have an outside refrigerator here. This one is 110 only. This one's only going to work if you're plugged into shore power or park power.
Or generator.
Or generator.
Did you know we offer generators at Haylett RV, Dwayne?
In many different ways. Here we have a griddle on this unit. It is LP fired. Tells you how to light it right here. And it's hooked up with a flexible gas line into the back, which we can plug and unplug like an air hose. And it comes down to our RBQ port, which we cannot plug into this unless the gas is off. Right here.
So that valve, that little lever right there, controls whether you can hook or unhook to it, as well as if the gas is or is not running.
Right. If the gas is on, which it is now, you cannot unhook. If it's off, then you can unhook.
And you have to kind of push in on the hose a little bit and then pull the sleeve back. So it has to be very intentional. It is very, very difficult for that. There's like no way for it to really accidentally come unhooked, right?
One quick note with the griddles, they recommend that you season this just like cast iron before you just throw a burger on there. They recommend you get it hot and put a little cooking oil on there and let it season.
Oh, good to know.
As we step to the rear of the unit, this little bat wing device up here is...
The Darth Vader helmet?
Yeah, it is. It's a pre-wired mount for a backup camera. So all you'd have to do is take the face off, put the camera in, you're good to go. We sell those here at Haylett, and we can install them for you and make sure they work. As we come down, the other thing out here is the outside shower. This functions exactly like the inside shower, has the same options. We have our sewer connection. And you would hook your sewer hose up here, but before you hook your sewer hose up here, out here, say, is our dump station. Please run your sewer hose out, put it in there, and that way when you remove the cap, you have the hose right here. In case somebody's pulled a valve on you, you only get a little spill, you can put the hose right on. Once we have the hose on, black handle is your black tank. We dump that first. Once it's all ran out, we close it. Gray handle is our gray water. As Josh said before, black tank is anything goes down the toilet, gray water is anything goes down the sink or shower.
And the reason you want to do it in that order is obviously your black tank has the bad news in it. Well, your gray tank, although it is not water you want to be drinking, it is effectively just soapy water for the most part. So by pulling your gray tank second, you are helping use that soapy water to help clean out not just your trailer's stuff, but also your actual sewer hose. You're running soapy water down it.
Right here's the black tank flush. You'd want to make sure the black tank is empty by having the valve open, having your sewer hose hooked up. Then you can hook up a garden hose here, which will send water directly into your black tank flush and spray it clean.
Now, a question I get all the time, and maybe you can help clarify this, is some people say, okay, well, I've got my hose hooked up to the city water right here. Is there any cross-contamination potential if I unhook it here, hook it up there, flush my black tank, and then hook it back to the city water? Is that okay or not okay?
Remember what this is flushing. If it ever did have an issue and come back here, I would not use my drinking hose to flush out sewer.
Absolutely. Keep a separate hose. And here's a massive recommendation, ladies and gentlemen. Freshwater drinking hoses should be white. General garden hoses are green. There's reasons for that because of chemical compositions. So use white hoses for your fresh drinking water. Use a hose of any different color, a horse of a different color, if you will, for your black tank flush system.
We have our 30 amp twist lock connection here. This is where you hook up park power. Here at Hallett's, comes with a unit is called a starter kit. It will have a 30 amp surge protector in that kit that will diagnose anything wrong with the wiring at the campground. You always plug that into the receptacle first before you plug your power cord into that. If anything's wrong with that wiring, it'll tell you.
That way you can diagnose very damaging, expensive issues before you start pumping bad stuff into your RV.
We're back at the front of the unit, ladies and gentlemen, and here is where we discussed about turning the propane on. We all know lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, so you would simply shut the propane off on this unit. On this unit, it has no indicator for you, so if you wanted to know how much propane you'd either have to buy a gauge that goes here or one of them on the side of the tank.
Which actually works surprisingly well. Those little on the tank things, you're like, how, it just sticks on there? Yeah, it works really, really well.
As we're here, this is where your 12-volt battery is stored. Come along this fall or whenever you decide to put this in storage for an extended period of time, especially if it's going to be cold, we recommend you open this box, disconnect the battery, take the battery out and take it with you somewhere where it's warm and dry. That way this battery does not discharge itself and freeze. Now,
something I discovered recently, ladies and gentlemen, and not being a nuts and bolts person, this is probably like laughably, stupidly simple to most folks, like you're gonna laugh at me. But I had a lawnmower battery die on me over the winter, and I realized that I could have just had a battery tender on it. You're thinking, yeah, but how much does that cost? You can go to the big box store like Amazon of your choice, and for somewhere between $20 to $40, you could get a 12-volt battery tender that you just leave hooked up to that thing like in the garage over winter or something like that, and it will keep that battery topped off at any point. And what's nice about a low voltage trickle charger is they won't overcharge the battery and they won't cook it, so that, come springtime, you're going to be good to go. Because if you take care of your battery like that, it should actually be able to last like 6, 7, 8, 9 years. But most RV batteries, because they're not tended to properly, only last 2 or 3. And most of that's user issues. But it's because you folks haven't been shown or told how to do it. And hey, look at us. We're out here teaching you how to do this stuff. So as I said, this video was really intended for the consumption of one person. That's the length and the effort and the time that we're willing to invest on a per client basis here at Haylett RV. And if you are the new owner of this camper, first of all, thank you from my family to yours, and congratulations. And if you're not the owner of the RV, if you'd like any sort of personal level of service like this yourselves, know that it comes at no additional charge with every single new RV purchased here from Haylett RV. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy Haylett camping, everyone.